Lee County Baseball has a new head coach with deep roots in Southwest Georgia. We'll talk to Wes Shiver right after this.
Welcome to the Integrity Sports Podcast, covering local sports in the Southwest Georgia area, creating content that is factual, positive, and informative, promoting efforts by athletes, coaches, and sports administrators. Now, here's your host, Tim Estes.
Hello, and thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Our show is available on 10 different platforms, and it's growing each week. Let me ask you to like and share the video on whatever platform you're viewing this on, and also go to our YouTube channel and hit the subscribe button. We want to build our YouTube presence each week, and you hitting the subscribe button helps us out a whole lot. Our guest today is Wes Shiver, the head baseball coach at Lee County High School, who has just completed his first season. Wes, thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be a part of what you guys are doing, and glad you guys asked me to come on.
Wes, you grew up not far from here in Turner County, I think graduating in 1998. And you and I met back in the late 90s, I guess, when you came to Georgia Southwestern to play baseball here in the late 90s, early 2000s. What I want you to start off doing tonight is just give our audience a quick background on your roots here in Southwest Georgia and what it was like to grow up in this area, and talk a little bit, too, about the times that you played baseball here at Georgia Southwestern.
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up there in Turner County. Played some very competitive high school baseball, played against a lot of the guys that I played with in college there. You know, a lot of guys from Irwin County, from Wilcox, from Worth County, from Lee County. So high school was very competitive back then, and it still is now in South Georgia. And, graduated in 98. Had a chance to play American Legion ball. That was kind of our travel ball back in the day, you know. And,
yeah.
Man, what some great teams and around this area, and the players that played on those teams, all were college guys, you know, from all the surrounding counties. And, so that was a big part of me growing as a player, I think, in high school, was being able to do that. And then after in 98, when I graduated, I went on to Georgia Southwestern, got to play there my first 2 years under Coach Bill Haywood. I love Coach Haywood. He was a great guy, great manager. Got to be with Coach Brian McLean. You know, he was the assistant. He's the guy that recruited me. And, learned a lot of baseball that I didn't know existed from a high school player standpoint. And, and had some great teammates that first year. Still stay in contact with a lot of those guys. We won the conference that year as a freshman. And, that was 2 times in a row for a lot of the older guys. And then, after my sophomore year, Coach Haywood hung it up, and then Coach Barry Davis came in. And, again, learned so much baseball under Coach Davis. A lot of things that I do as a coach, I learned from him as well. And, we had a great team my senior year in 2002, played with a lot of great players that year, guys that went on to play professionally. And, we had the National Player of the Year in Paul Bush. I mean, he did not have a bad game that year. What an excellent number one to have on a staff. And then you play with all the other guys that were surrounded, on the team. And, great players made me a better player. And I was able to get a few accolades there at GSW. I was All-American that year. But that's credit to all my teammates to push me. Any of those guys could have been there as well. So, I think when you have great teams, you have great teammates to push you and make you a better player and a better person. And that's what we had there, So, great times there at GSW. Man, I miss all those guys. We got to see them a few times here on Alumni Weekend. So that's a special time for us.
Yeah, Wes, if I'm not mistaken, that 2002 season you talk about, you won the conference. Back then, it was the NAIA, and you beat my alma mater in Faulkner University, which has been a perennial power for years and years. But I remember that series just being nip and tuck the entire way, and two great pitchers and guys like Paul Bush for Georgia Southwestern and Andy Priola for Faulkner that went on to play pro ball. And boy, that was some good baseball, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, man. That conference that year, it was basically the guys that are in there now, except maybe Faulkner. But we had AUM that year that entered. North Georgia had entered, and all of those teams made it to the regional tournament. And man, you talking about some competitive atmosphere. When those guys play, I mean, it was no easy game. I mean, you saw quality pitching. I mean, all of those guys, I believe, could have been Division I players, and somehow found their way on those rosters. But recruiting was a little harder back then too. So but we played some really good players in our conference that year, and again, it was a very tough matchup for us and for all the teams in the conference.
So, Wes, if I remember right, when you finished your playing days there at Georgia Southwestern, you spent a year or two as a GA there. Kind of take us through that time and then your coaching career that's led you up to this point, so everybody kind of knows your background.
I got you. So I was able to stay on in 03 and a small part of 04 as the GA. I guess 04 was probably more of a voluntary position that I was able to still help Coach Davis out a little bit. But did some recruiting for him, learned the coaching side of it. And that was probably harder for me to learn the coaching side of it, just being a finished player. And one thing I always remember Coach Davis saying is, as a coach, you can't change the game. All you can do is prepare. And, and as a player, I felt like I could make a difference in a game. And man, I to this day, it's still tough watching these guys play. And when you feel like you could make a difference. But, so I left after that year in 04 and was able to return to Turner County, my alma mater there, and start my teaching and coaching career over there and coached football and baseball at the high school level for 8 years at Turner County. And, man, we had some very competitive teams in football and baseball, won a lot of region championships over there and learned a lot of things from some great guys. Coach Casey Soliday, which was in Americas for a few years. Coach Eric Soliday was in Americas for a few years. They both coached me in high school. So being able to be with those guys and learn, football and baseball and from a head coaching standpoint. And I always knew I wanted to try to be a head coach if I stayed in this profession. And, and I guess it was 2012 there. Started searching a little bit just to see what was kind of out there and found Central High School up in Carrollton that was looking for a head baseball coach. And so I sent an email to the principal and she sent wanted me to come in for an interview. I was offered the job on the spot there that day. And, I'm forever grateful for Miss Dana Harmon. She was my principal, and Grant Chestnut, he was the athletic director, for giving me an opportunity to be my first head coaching job at Central High School. So we took over a team there that had traditionally not been very good. And, I felt like we were able to turn some things around in that community for the team and I coached football for 2 years. And then after 2 years, I was able to become the co-athletic director and still be the head baseball coach. So it was kind of a unique opportunity for me. I really enjoyed doing that, and I did it for the next 9 years. So we spent 11 years up in Carrollton, had some really great players, some great relationships built with families and administration. And I mean, I can't speak enough about those people there that helped us build our home. I mean, that was the home for our girls and my little boy. That's where they were, they were basically raised. And, and then last summer, Lee County job came open and, I always kind of knew what Lee County had offered in the past. And me and my wife had talked about, maybe coming back to South Georgia at some point in our lives. Just didn't know when it would be. I never thought we would leave Carrollton. And, the good Lord opens up doors that you can't shut sometimes. And, when everything kind of fell together, we just felt like this is where we were supposed to be at. And, my family was very receptive. My girls, I have one that's a sophomore in high school this year and one that's an 8th grader. And that's tough years for them. And, that they were very supportive, and my wife was very supportive. And so we took a leap of faith again and decided to venture back down here to Lee County.
Well, Wes, that kind of leads me into where I wanted to go with this. You being from Turner County in Southwest Georgia, you grew up knowing the reputation of Lee County baseball. It's been good for many, many years. And coming in as the new head coach, tell us kind of what was the reality of the situation there, and what are some things that you and your staff are doing now to make an already strong tradition even stronger?
Yeah, when you think Lee County baseball, you think Coach Rob Williams.
Yeah.
What a Hall of Fame guy to have a place like this to come in and 25 region championships. I think they've been to 16 Elite Eights, 8 Final Fours, and played for 4 state championships. So, as a baseball coach, you want rich tradition and where you want to, coach at. And, so the reality for me was I still think there's great players here, Brandon Brock, he did a great job when he was the head coach here and, played for a state championship in 2016. And, so again, he took over for a legend and he had immediate success, so and then Coach Trevette was here, and I think he did a fine job. COVID year, they had a really good year and got cut short. And, so me being able to step in and kind of continue the tradition, put my own mark on the program, maybe in a way. And, so Lee County baseball has always been kind of the what's the word I'm looking for? The mark
kind of the standard in this area. Yeah.
Yeah. The great word there, the standard for what everybody wants to be about, and that's what it was for a long time. And now you got competitive teams everywhere around you. You got Tift County, you got Terrell Academy that won it last year. You got Deerfield Windsor that's doing a great job. Sly County right up the road, they're doing a great job. So there's competitive baseball all the way around. Worth County, Will does a good job over there. So the players in South Georgia are still there, and that was one of the things that I guess I always liked about South Georgia baseball was that South Georgia mentality of, this is what we do. We're going to play our sports. We're going to be here and do it hard and be hard-nosed at everything that we do. And, sometimes you don't get that in the fast-paced communities, I like to say. But,
yeah,
and I think, just being in South Georgia and when you have a game on Friday nights and everybody's there, it's a special atmosphere.
Our program today is being brought to you by Marty McDonald State Farm Insurance. His office is located at 925 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard here in Americus. Stop by and see Marty or any of his fine staff. They'd be happy to sit down with you and discuss your insurance needs. And as always, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Coach, you just finished your first year. If my numbers are right, I think you ended up somewhere around 19 and 13. I want you to talk a little bit about this year's team, some of the guys on that team, and kind of what you accomplished this year.
Yeah, I thought we jumped in and had a really good year to start off my career here. And, it didn't end the way we wanted to. We played a really tough Glenn Academy team in the first round of the playoffs, and you can't take nothing away from them. They have a really good team. That coach did a good job. John Wilburn had their guys ready to go, we didn't play our best baseball at the end of the season, and that falls on me as the head coach, and I got to find a way to get us better, and we're going to do that as a staff. And but we had a good year. The boys were able to buy into the program and what we wanted to teach and how we were teaching it. And that's hard to do for a young kid. To be adaptable to change, and when most kids are not very adaptable in today's society to change. They're very comfortable with their surroundings. And, I think we kind of just, my biggest, when you hear any head coach take over, the one thing they're always going to talk about is culture, and what kind of culture you want to bring to the team. And I think that's one thing that we've tried to do is get that community pride back into the program.
Wes, as a guy that's coached both at the college level and at the high school level, I got a subject I want to talk about here. I've had Chuck Cheek from Sly County on the program previously. I've talked with John Brady, the head coach over at Southland Academy. And I want to talk a little bit about recruiting and what you see right now going on in recruiting, as we've got the portal to deal with in the NCAA, and only 6 junior colleges in the state of Georgia playing baseball right now. And of course, you got it still dealing with some of the COVID stuff with guys that have gotten COVID years. So they're there. And as you're trying to sell your guys at Lee County to these college coaches, what do you see going on in the recruiting game right now?
Well, like you mentioned, it's so tough, man. There's so many good baseball players now, and you can find them. When I played, you didn't have Twitter, you didn't have Instagram, and now all these guys have everything at the tip of their fingers that they can give out to a coach, and which is wonderful. A guy from California can be recruited by Josh McDonald at GSW,
Right.
And he can see all the video that he wants to see, and we didn't have those things back when I played, and one of the things that we were trying to do and we implemented this year is our video system that we purchased, where every player gets their own clips after a game and their highlight reels. And, so if a coach asks, hey, Wes, can I have some film on him? It's at the touch of my fingers. I can get him clips from, all the ball games that we played. And so that part of recruiting is made it a little bit easier, I guess. But again, you touched on the COVID. There's so many players that are not getting a chance to play and are transferring out in the transfer portal, and it's so hard, And the smaller schools are really the ones that are reaping the most benefit, because those guys are really wanting to go and just play somewhere and not just sit on the bench. And as a college coach, and I can go and get a 23-year, 24-year-old young man instead of an 18-year-old, it's a no-brainer.
Yep.
He's fully developed and at a capacity to play, and there, a lot of these smaller schools are getting Division I players now, and so it makes it hard for a high school kid to truly be recruited. I don't know. The NCAA, they passed the legislation last week about not being able to contact or even email or do anything to a high school player now in baseball until their August of their junior year. So what's that going to look like here in the next year? So
you're right.
Again, and travel ball is so big across the nation and the state of Georgia. Every weekend there's perfect game tournaments going on. You got PBR now here in Georgia, and along with perfect game, and those tournaments are huge tournaments in the summer. And what a great recruiting tool for a college coach to go and watch whoever he wants to watch at those venues. If I can go and watch 5 different, up at Lake Point at PBR, there's 8 fields up there. So, I can go all day and look at who I need to see from players all across the nation, when they have those big tournaments. So, so recruiting is really a beast now. You don't see many college coaches getting out to the high schools like you used to. But again, that comes from, being able to use technology the way they are. And so it's tough. I feel for some of our high school kids, but they're still college coaches I still have not yet to sign a guy where a college coach hadn't called and said, Wes, tell me about this kid and how he plays for you and your program. So I think that relationship that we build with our players in high school still means a lot to college coaches and what kind of player they're actually getting, because we're around them so much throughout the year and see all of, what kind of student they are, what kind of player they are, and what kind of person they are. So yeah, it's crazy. I wouldn't want to be a player in today's society because of all of the stuff, so but it is what it is.
Hey, while we're talking about players, let's switch gears a little bit and tell me about your coaching staff. I know a couple of those guys, and Coach Williams and Coach Suggs, and sounds like you've built a really good staff down there.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to come into a situation where we had some quality coaches on staff with Matt Suggs. Suggs played at GSW, and played here. He's here from Lee County, so a hometown boy. And I asked him to, after we met for, I don't know, about 2.5, 3 hours one day and at a local restaurant here. And we just sat and talked baseball. And I said, if you'll do the pitching program for me, that will be a big burden off of my plate. And he's very familiar with the pitching program. And we sat down and hammered out all the details. And I said, it's your program. You run it. I'm just going to oversee it. And if there's something I need to tweak, I'll let you know. But he has done an excellent job with our guys this year in competing, and on the mound. When you don't have real dominant stuff, and what he's been able to do with our guys this year on the pitching mound has been very special, and the boys really bought into it too. So that's a huge thing there. Also was able to keep on staff Tyler Ward. He was our head JV coach last year, and this past year, Tyler has he coached down at Valdosta, been here, so. He's been around high school baseball. He's been around some good coaches, so I was able to retain him. And then we kept Matt Mears on staff as well from here. Matt played here at Lee County as well, and he's another young guy. And anytime you can keep young guys around and quality guys, it makes your job as a head coach so much easier. And I really appreciate the work that they did this year. And I was able to bring on, Scott Williams. I knew Scott, played with him 1 year there at GSW and before he transferred out. But, I knew what kind of coach he was, and anytime I can get experience on your staff, experience goes a long way in being able to see, different aspects of the game. And he's good at doing that. And very bright mind in baseball. So very proud of being able to get him on staff here, and hopefully we can continue to build this thing. Still short a couple coaches, so we got to fill our staffs completely and get them there. But we're working hard at trying to do that. But good group of young men. I love being around them. We have a good time at the ball field together, and we're looking forward to going to play some golf here shortly and enjoy our short break. But
I hear you.
Yeah.
Hey, Wes, one of the neat things that's happened here, we've got a lot of sponsors that have reached out to us. One of those sponsors is the Shred Shed, Mike and Connie Gurley. They provide professional document shredding at affordable prices. You can reach them at 938-2520, or you can contact them on Facebook. Another sponsor that we've got, and this is really cool to me, Coach, is WMNZ Radio up in Montezuma. Takes the audio off of our program each week and plays it every Thursday on their radio station. So we want to thank Lance Teal and the staff at WMNZ for doing that as well. I keep hearing about this hashtag INAM. Kind of explain that to me.
Yeah, that's our team motto. And when I took over as a head coach, one of the things that I started reading a lot of, coaching books, philosophy books. And one thing that, all the great coaches did was have something to hang their hat on. And and I actually got this from a leadership class that I went to, and actually we had our athletes take it, and it come from a guy that ran a business, and I am stands for it's not about me, and what we try to do is implement that throughout our program, and one of the things that we talk about is being selfless as a player, not concerned about myself, but concerned about how this team performs and doing something for someone else. And, and I always try to tell our players when I first meet with them, you have more gratification out of serving someone else than trying to get self accolades. And when you start serving someone else, the self accolades begin to get there. As I mentioned earlier in the broadcast there, about me getting some, awards as a player. That don't happen if I don't have good people around me and I'm not playing for those guys, and the friendships and the bonds that we built, over years there, it's special. And that's what we're trying to teach our guys is, put the team first, let your self accolades and yourself, take a step back. And man, it's so hard to do in today's society because everything's about you, and kids want that recognition. They want to be able to put their highlights out on Twitter and Instagram and be able to, and it's just hard to get young people to understand what a true team bond is. And that's what we build our team. That's what we try to build our motto around is it's not about me, it's about us.
And when it's not about you, Wes, one of the things I've given each guest I've had on this program a chance to do is talk about their support network behind the scenes. You've got a family that I know supports you. I remember some conversations you and I had while you were going through attempting to get the Lee County job, and you talked about your girls. Talk to me about your family. Tell our audience about your family and what a support network they are.
Yeah, very blessed to have the family that I do. That's something that has always been there for me. My wife, we met at GSW, and then we've been married almost 17 years next month. So, you're not able to do the things that you do if you don't have the support cast. And she's always been supportive of everything that I've tried to accomplish as a coach and as a person, So, without her and her support cast, you're not able to do it as a coach and do it successful, right, because of the time commitment that it takes. And my girls, they're very involved in athletics, and my little boy, he's starting. He's 5 years old, so he's playing, rec league here in Lee County. So he's getting involved now in the baseball and the football and everything else that he likes. And so it's a lot of time and commitment, from outside of just what I do. So and then it goes to my wife's immediate family and my immediate family. My mom and dad. Something we talked about, my mom and dad hadn't really ever got to see me coach a lot because we were 3.5 hours away, and my wife's parents were the same way. And now mom and dad's almost at every home game, and being able to share that with them and talk with them after games. And, my sister and my brothers, their families come and watch. And, when you have 15, 20 family members come out on the field to either congratulate you or console you there.
Console you, yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome to have that support, and it just lets you know that everybody is there for you and pulling for you to do well, and they're all the things in between. But we've always had a very close-knit family. Even back when I played, my family was there to watch, and it hasn't changed. And that's something that I do not take for granted, is being able to share that with them while I'm here at Lee County. So that's been a real special thing for me. And it keeps things in perspective, and that's something I'm proud of.
Wes, it's been great to catch up with you again. It's been a long time since you and I have talked, but really like what you're doing there in Lee County. We built this program, the Integrity Sports Podcast, to shine positive light on the good things going on in youth sports in our community, in the high school and the college ranks. And you certainly are doing that there at Lee County, and we look forward to following your career down there. Hope you can get a lot of support. You've been a good guy for a long time, and you deserve what you've gotten. And just know that a lot of folks here in the Sumter County, Americus area are pulling for you as well. Thank you for joining me today.
I sure appreciate it. Thank you, Tim, for having me. And I think you guys are doing a great job trying to get this out to different venues and different people. And we don't have enough of this. And, a lot of people can get caught up in outside issues, but something about sports can always bring people together, and that's something I'm very proud of.
We want to thank you for making the Integrity Sports Podcast a part of your weekly routine. Do two things for us. Hit the like and share button, and please help us build the YouTube presence. Just log on to YouTube and type into the search bar, Integrity Sports Podcast. When you get on our page, there'll be a little white button up at the top that says subscribe. I promise you we're not going to fill you up with notifications, but we're trying to build that, and we want to get to 1,000 subscribers as soon as possible. It's been a good day for Wes Shiver. I'm Tim Estes. Thanks for watching. So long, everybody.